I'll record the session because Karthik is not there, no? It will be easy for him to understand. So today topic is Shashank, multi-threading and multiprocessing. Okay, did we finish the homework whichever we have given in the earlier session?
Yeah, I finished.
So let's understand what is multi-threading. Both seem to be similar, meaning the word multi is there, but threading is only on one process. Processes means mainly one CPU or something like that. Process IDs will be there, no? Only one process ID. And multi-processing means different processes. So that's the difference between multi-threading and multi-processing. So multi-threading is a technique. Multiple threads run on concurrently, meaning in parallel. In parallel, everything, all threads will run on a single process is called multi-threading. And multi-processing is on multiple process, multiple running that technique is called multiple process, meaning in parallel, all process IDs. Because we are using one laptop, I will show the practical different process IDs, but generally it is like different laptops also becomes the or basically different memories process IDs or the multi processing. So on notes, the definition is multi-threading is a technique where multiple threads run concurrently within a single process. It is mainly used to perform multiple tasks simultaneously with a single application. Okay, that's why it is used means used when your input and output bond, meaning waiting for input and output, such as you in our example for a most student like examples, you enter number. For example, if you want any prime numbers, you will say up to 50 I want. What are the prime numbers? You are inputting that and you are expected the output, something like that. Input and output operations, if you wanted to do run in everything in parallel, example, in parallel all the logics you want, something like that, you will use the multi-threading. I will show the example how in parallel how the downloads or anything can happen in parallel. Okay, so file operations. Next topic is file operations. At a time, you want to download all files or you want to read all files, meaning the start time of reading that file should happen in parallel. So that it is a purpose. Similarly, network request, multiple network requests, it goes. Web scraping. Web scraping is a separate topic where in advanced I'll teach APIs and database queries, where you will call different APIs in parallel. One API would be for a retrieval of some product, or one API would be something for a discount or something like that. Multiple APIs you are calling from a single process in parallel. Those are called even database queries from different tables. You will call one query from the other table for reading purpose. One you are sending for an update. One you wanted a request to delete. These are all in, I will show it, but APIs and database queries, everything in advanced topic you will understand. So these are about the use cases which we use in multi-threading. So the threads share the same memory space in general, useful for input output nodes or network operations, all file input and output operations. Basically, why do you use means they are very lightweighted, and when you compare to the processes, meaning processes are memory, different memories you use, right? Here only on single memory, a lightweight thread, it will be there. So now how do we write this? The syntax for that is just, I said, right, multiple libraries are available in the Python, like thousands of libraries are there for different purposes. Like that, threading is also one library where you need to import, meaning it is a library which used for multi-threading. So the task remains like that. So you have to define a task which is nothing but your method, and this is in a small example kind, you can say print running a task. Then how do you create multi-threading is like this in a T1. T1 is nothing but in a variable kind, and from threading you are using one thread and you will use to download here example, first file to download. Similarly, you can use T2 threading dot another file download, T3, T4, it keep on going on, meaning how many ever whatever you wanted to do in parallel the task, you write different variables under threading. So then again you what you will give, T1 dot start means you said to start on the same time, like that T1, how you T1 start and T1 join, it is nothing but wait for the thread to complete. Join is something like that to complete. So this is a syntax. If you want multitasking, multi things to happen means you keep on adding T2, T3, T4, and similarly start and join also you need to say T2 dot start, T2 dot join, meaning you are making them it to start in parallel and you are making them to stop it once they are completing in parallel. So in parallel, this is a practical example I'll show while showing my practical. So this is a syntax for how to write. Just import that and write the task name, whatever you want, and start using the under threading that thread and start and join are the syntax for this. And so, for example, here multi-threading syntax here, same thing, import threading, function name and arguments. If you have any arguments and you may create a method for a thread, which is there I used T1 as in a parameter. Here I am using in a thread, threading.thread, whatever the arguments, because you created a function, you are sending the arguments with the function name, etc. And you will start the thread or you will close the thread for that. So same syntax here also, but here using different variables. That's all. On the instead of T1, you are using thread. Okay, example. If you see here, you are using a for loop here, import threading you did, and you are printing the numbers for I in range 5 and print numbers, meaning basically you are printing the numbers. What you are doing here, thread is equal to threading dot thread target print numbers. Thread target equal to print numbers. Target, what is your target here? To print the numbers. So print the numbers is nothing but it is a function. So you are calling thread dot start and thread dot join, meaning it starts in parallel all the threads 1 2 3 4, it won't go in sequence. That's the meaning of that. Generally sequence means after one completion it goes, but here in parallel it prints, but you can't see that how it happens in the practically, but you can write any informations which you can see that each time it everything get started to print something like that. You can modify the example. I will show it how to modify and see like multiple threads you create, whether it is starting in parallel or not. I will show that. Okay, in this example, you can't see how whether it started same demand, because if you write any function or any normal loop, print the numbers means you will print, right? You are aware of it. So here in this example, you can't see. Okay, threading complex, something like that. It is in a complex one, which another example, we'll see all these in practicals. Basically, here is what I'm saying. So you are making sleep for 2 seconds. So starting and finish. And whenever you are using a for loop here means you are making it everything in parallel to run. So this example also I'll show in practical. Okay, let's understand the theory of the multiprocessing. So as you are aware, so multiprocessing is different processor, meaning processor run independently with each with its own Python interpreter and memory space. So in our practical, I can't show, but I will show different processor IDs working on different values or something like that. I'll show. So we don't have any different interpreters and different memory space and different. Basically, you are asking, for example, if you are sitting in a company and you are asking multiple files to download or multiple images to download in parallel using the same thing, different processor, that it will be a technique for using the multiprocessing. Are you understanding, Shashank, what I'm talking?
Yeah, I understand, Nati.
Okay. So now multiprocessing, each process has its own memory suitable for CPU bound task, meaning basically when you say memory, space, all those different instances, everything means it's a different CPUs. Processor are heavier than threads. Of course, processors are heavier than threads. When to use? These are for image and video processing and model training, web scraping in large data sets, heavy mathematical calculation. Wherever you see web scraping, that I will teach you in the advanced topics, because I'm going to talk all those scraping, multi-processing, multi-threading in that same topic. Okay. Again, it is a similar like how you had a syntax like import threading, multi-threading, how you did. Here another library which you use for in Python, which is multi-processing, and you will define function. And here you know the Dundi functions which is there for that creating the process. And here instead of T1, T2 or threading, you will use a different keyword or a variable name. And the same thing, instead of multi-threading, you will put multi-processing dot process, and whatever the target or whatever the function you want to execute, you will write in this. And process dot start and process dot join. Start is to kick off that, and join is to finish that. Similarly, in parallel, if you want, you will write multiple processor, multiple joins. That's all. So the syntax is almost similar, and the examples are given here, but I will show practically, so I'm skipping those. Now, what are the differences between the multi-threading and multi-processings? You understand? Feature is tasked at best for IO bonds, which are input and output, and those are CPU, which are related to the memory and space, and the different interpreters. Example on the Python, that time you will use multiprocessing. Here, memory is shared because on the same space you are doing threading. You are printing the parallel numbers or even numbers or squares or something like that. You are using the same, but you are in parallel. You are executing. There, you have a separate memory process, and for each process. In your scenario, in today's scenario, I will show different process IDs. And speed is limited to GIL, and true parallelism on multi-core. Crash isolation, a crash affects all threads. One process crash does not, because you have a different memory space, meaning when it is in a worst case, if one thread fails, all are impacted here. In your single processor. In multiprocessor, if one crash happens, only that memory space will crash, but the remaining will work. That is an advantage of multiprocessing, but the usage are different, because here in multi-threading you will talk about performance, everything in this, whereas in multiprocessing it is in a different memory spaces, that performance will not work. We talked about that scalability. Can the scale 1,000 at a time or something like that? There we'll talk that. And communication, shared variables, and here interprocess communication. Those are the differences. And same slide. So real-time examples for this is web scraper, multi-threading, and multiprocessing is not there. And batch imaging, it is in multiprocessing, meaning multiple images you are doing the resize by different memory sizes. Chatbot handling is multi-threading, meaning in the same chatbot, if you observe anything, if you are entered to any training website, so I logged in and you logged in, multiple chats will be in progress within a multi-threading concept. You are asking about a course which is about AWS. I am asking about a course which is about, for example, AI and ML. So that is can be implemented in the chatbot multi-threading. And large matrix multiplication is not used in multi-threading, but in multiprocessing. And email sending, a small email sending in parallel, you can use multiple options in sending. At a time you want to send 5 emails when you kept the draft ready, something like that. It is about the real-time examples. So with this theory is done, now I will show practical how to we implement this. Give me a second. I will share the screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
So we spoke about multi-threading and multiprocessing, no? Let's kick off the first multi-threading. This again, multiple things I have used. I'll take this example later. First, I will show you without thread how it works. Then how it works and with the thread. Okay. So here, if you take same thing I used, what import threading, whichever I told, I used another library called time to show you the basically timings. Of course, I'm not showing the timing here as well because I didn't print. So but I'm calculating the sleep time and using that. If I run this, if you understand what I'm doing, name some, I have created a function within a parameter called name, and I started giving A as an argument and B as an argument, basically to start. If you observe, I said if it is only one thread, you will use T1. If you are using T2, T3, multiple in parallel, you are making it to start. So if you run here, task A started and task B started at a time. If you observe, task A finished. So task B finished. At a time you see that. But if you want to see the timing also, I will show another example. And without I want to show one after the other. See, task A started, then task A finished, task B started. This is called a sequence, meaning you are giving in a sequence. It is not running in multi-threading. Generally, if you use in a real-time projects, if you are trying to use anything, something without multi-threading, it will lot of performance issues you observe. That's why multi-threading in Java you have, and here also you have the same concept. Let me show another example. Which is something like a download. File 1, 2, 3, something download we are saying. And threading, import time, download and file name. And here I use T1, T2, T3, threading.thread and start and join are same. And now I'm capturing the end time here. Total time taken for this. I imported time, no? So for that I'm using. Now you can understand. See, all in parallel it started. Total time is 2 seconds. Okay. This is with multi-threading. Without multi-threading also you can see the same thing. Here you are doing without a threading. Just the import function you are using, import time, and you are putting this. So it goes in the sequence. Okay. So there is a difference between 6 seconds and 2 seconds, right? You are processing the files in 2 seconds, three files and 6 seconds. So the small seconds will show in a big difference when you are in the real time. This is also with threading. And this one I'll go. I'll little take time and explain you this. So I used another library called request. Sorry, I'm sorry. Threading is one and request is one more library I used for anything which are related to the API integration, or if you are uploading, or if you are uploading from the website or any public website or HTTPS, you will use the request libraries, which in REST APIs, I will explain this how to do it in detail. I'll explain. For now, you use as it is a request to upload and just to check. So now you are creating a method which is download file, and you are saying URL and file name. Let me, I have executed. I'll remove these files before I execute this. I'm already in use, it is saying. It is saying warning not to do it. That's fine. One is same thing, but I wanted to show you. It should remove. Refactor, I'll say. Okay. So what I'm doing is here is one more time I have to, this did not get deleted. Okay. It got deleted. Okay. Now let's understand. Now what I'm doing, download file and URL and file name. What I'm doing here, in parallel, I'm deleting from the certain URL one file name. It's not just a dummy file. Okay. And I imported the time. So I'm taking the hours, minutes, seconds to calculate the time and things and start downloading in, and I'm using in a functions, write binary method, which we covered in our thing. And I'm asking, this is an extra line which you need to learn today, which is response is equal to request dot get URL. This is a REST. While teaching you REST APIs, I'll talk about these commands clearly. But for now, request. To show you how the multi-threading and multi-processing happens, in parallel, I'm showing the from website how to download. So I'm saying write with file name, write binary as file, and write the response, whatever the content. Similarly, I'm using for the end time also. And what is a URL? There's some URL I took and creating a dummy file, which is threads. Now, when I say threads in square brackets, it means multiple. That is a multiple thing. And here I'm using start time to calculate the start time when it started. Then threading.thread download file and then URL name, and I'm using for loop to start in parallel the files. It could be file 1, file 2 or file n. Similarly, for loop I'm using either you can say t1 dot thread the t2 t3 or n, or you can use in the for loop also, right? This is the same similar thing which we do it. Okay. And for loop also is keep on pinging. So then I'm using the join also for loop. It's the same thing for multiple tasks. Whenever you have heavy more than five images or file downloads or anything, if you are using, use directly a for loop. Then total time taken minus the start time you will get and you will use. Now let's run this program. So if you hear time I'm requesting, if you observe, the same time both files got kicked off and the same time both got finished. It really depends upon, I deleted for your sake to explain you because earlier I executed is just a dummy file from the whatever we are using from the URL. Okay, so similarly, file 2, both got the, are you able to see the screen when I open this? I don't think so. I'm sharing that.
I only see the code.
Here, file 1, file 2, you can see,
Yeah, I
right?
see. Yeah.
So I'm not sharing the entire screen. No, that's why if I open PDF file, you are not able to, because it is an
Oh,
empty
yeah.
file, but it is an empty file, but it says that a dummy file which is downloaded. That's all is the content which is there. Okay, from the URL. Okay, this is about multi-threading. Okay, some few more things are written here. I don't think so. I need to show you, but it's a similar concept before and after and everything. I will show this. So let's move on. Did you understand the concept wise? Multi-threading means,
Yeah, I understood, Auntie.
and you are basically using 3 points to remember. You are importing the threading, then you are using uh, method in method, whatever the arguments you are doing, you are passing them, and you started using the threading dot uh, whatever the function you wanted to call, you will use. Then, if you are using more than two or three, you can put it in for loop. And as soon as you have finished, again start and join is your syntax. This is what the syntax you have to remember. So again, if instead of writing multiple t1 dot start, t1 dot join, you can put that also in for loops. Okay, that's about it. Then multiprocessing, which is I said multiprocessing is similar to mm, your what is it? Similar to your multi-threading, but in multi-threading, you will use a single processor. Here it is using multiple processor. So as we don't have multiple things, different space and different interpreters, what I did is I'm importing the pool, which is where you will use different process IDs. If you use pool, what happens is you can get the multiple pools you can download, meaning within a different ID, you will put that process IDs and you run the formula. So from multiprocessing, import pool, I'm saying. So after 10 minutes, please relog in. Import OS and time for OS is nothing but for start checking the any tasks or anything which is there. That's why I used OS, which you are aware of it, and time is for capturing the time. So OS is nothing but to get the PIDs, process IDs, meaning multiple process IDs, which I told. I'm mimicking to show it on a single laptop how to it will run. Then I'm running on PID, meaning it takes the PIDs. 4-digit PIDs will be there. You will get all the PIDs and on which PID what it is working, it will show. Basically, you are giving 1 second sleep time and you are returning X into X, meaning you are returning the values into multiply the values and giving PID. What is a X? We have to understand. Then OS get PID with pool 4. Four people are doing in parallel. Result is equal to pool dot map and range 5, meaning you are using a functional up to 8, do the squaring, meaning it doesn't have any 0 to or 1 to 8. So 8 values you are squaring up. Then for every square, meaning 0 square, 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, for every square, the process ID will be different. So that is what I'm trying to show. Actually, this output you are showing with the process ID on a same laptop, but this can show in a different way. How means uh, on with the single laptop, you have to open, very difficult to show you because you have to open your task manager. Under that activity, you have to go and see your what is a Python execution file and see how many process IDs are running in parallel. You can see it there as well instead of using PID here. So it will be very quick. You have to see if you see 0 to 7, it will become, because up to 8 I said no. So task 0 is on 44516. It's on a 5-digit. I just told 4-digit PID. And task 1, task 2, different PIDs, meaning you are from a pool, you are creating multiple process IDs. And now what is my actual ask is run the squares on different, meaning my mathematical calculation is 0 square, 1 square, 2 square. I'm asking to do which you are aware, meaning how to do square, how to create in a method, all those you are aware. Just new thing what you learned is how to create a PIID from the existing process IDs and use the print the same thing in parallel how you are doing. So all these you are doing up to 7. You used a range function to use up to 7 how to do the square and on which process. Basically, all are running on the same time with a different process IDs, but in this you can observe in your task manager also. But the time I open here, execute and go there, the execution finishes because it is in a small task. If you have multiple things, something like in a large, huge files, if you're downloading in parallel, or image downloading or image resizing, if you're doing, then if you go and see in your task manager, it will be there. By the time I execute here and show you that, meaning a task manager, and that gets end over, finishes off. You can't see. That's the reason I printed the process IDs. Did you understand, Shashank?
Yeah, I understood.
Okay. I did not give the homework part here because this is a concept to be understood and need to be implemented when in most of the programming. So whenever you are doing such activities with network request or input output, so whenever a performance related or an scalable issue related, if it is there, it is understood that you have to use multi-threading and multiprocessing. While we are doing a project work or something like that, I will help you out to use the classes and multi-threading and multiprocessing, all those. How we did one project for entire OOPS concept. Similarly, all concepts, once we finish advanced topic, we'll write and we'll do in a project which uses all these concepts. One of the other concepts will come into picture. So when to use, what to use, we can understand this. So that it just you, what is your work for today is go and understand in depth and practice the syntax. Why, what is meant by pool? Is it pool required? Without pool, can I do it? Or why the hell OS is used here? Where all we used OS import? We used in the file operations also. If you remember, a file is created in some drive and you are trying to search in your local drive, which is in your particular folder. File not found was there, but actually in OS it is there. So that time we used import to OS and try to get that. So it will search the entire OS, meaning in your operating system, whatever the drives are there, everywhere. Similarly, get processor IDs also you can get. All these are important to understand. So I used existing functionalities, which I explained you earlier, and the same thing I have put in a method, and I used Dundee methods and started printing the numbers. Okay. If you have two laptops, dad's and yours, just try reproducing multiprocessing. Can you mimic that, or will it work or not? Just do the practicals at home. So understand the concepts in depth for today, because much homework is not required here. Just how to use and when to use and what is a purpose and the concept and where to apply. Actually, that's a concept you have to understand. Here there is no logic, to be frank. Logic in the sense, syntax is important here, how to use is important. You are not building any logic here. If you something like that, if you want to build a logic or something like that, I'll give you homework here. It is not that related. That's a reason I didn't give any homework, but in a future project we'll give the homework. Done. I'm
Okay,
done
yeah.
with the class. I'm done with the class, and we'll take tomorrow. We don't have no Shashank.
Yeah. So Friday.
Okay. Tomorrow, Friday morning. No, again Saturday. Saturday we'll take REST APIs. Probably that topic I will explain how to use Postman. What are the post get methods? I'll explain all the methods and this. With that, we can complete the intermediate syllabus. Then we'll go to the advanced. So far, what is your confidence level on the Python? So many
Like
topics. Hmm?
I understand mostly.
Okay.
Just probably have to just practice the syntax.
Hmm. See, for your generation, syntax also not required to remember because lot of Copilot or Cloud, all these have come. But how to use basically in future, meaning prompt engineers, no code developers are the future, what is it, designations for this. But it is always good to remember the syntax, good to use the concept where it is, all those. So though for your generation, it is not mandate to mug the syntax and remember and do it. Few companies definitely check your without giving you any help like a Copilot or what is that? Another I just said Claude or anything without them, they will restrict you to write the programs because you guys are freshers, no? So that way it will be useful when you remember this syntax anything when you go for interviews. Otherwise, when you have that AI itself give you the syntax, and when you download a Python with AI, so it will give you the entire code. Only thing where to use, how to use, and when to use, you should know it. That's all. If you are clear on that, it works for you. My advice is try to get the in syntax because few companies are still not using as what I said earlier, not using that clearly. They still prefer people to understand the concept and remember the syntax and use that. Okay,
Okay.
chalo then, take care.
Okay. Bye. Take
Bye, bye, bye. See you.